1. A protective service officer is tasked with training new recruits. Which approach best aligns with adult learning principles to ensure skill retention? A. Delivering a one-way lecture with minimal interaction. B. Encouraging recruits to share prior experiences during scenarios. C. Providing only written materials for self-study. D. Relying solely on video demonstrations without discussion. 2. When evaluating a recruit's ability to conduct patrols, which evaluation method provides the most accurate measurement of competency? A. Multiple choice written exam. B. Peer-to-peer role-play with observation. C. Self-assessment checklist. D. Online discussion forum participation. 3. In curriculum development for protective service officers, which step ensures alignment with regulatory compliance standards? A. Designing content before reviewing policy updates. B. Mapping learning objectives directly to compliance requirements. C. Using case studies without referencing regulations. D. Prioritizing personal experience over standards. 4. A supervisor notices inconsistent report writing among officers. Which mentoring technique best addresses this issue? A. Reviewing and correcting reports without feedback. B. Pairing junior officers with experienced officers for guided practice. C. Mandating longer report writing workshops. D. Reprimanding officers for errors without offering guidance. 5. During communication drills, which method best develops officers' skills to de-escalate confrontations? A. Passive observation of senior staff. B. Practicing scripted lines repeatedly. C. Engaging in simulated high-stress role-play scenarios. D. Memorizing regulation codes only. 6. Which evaluation approach is most valid for testing knowledge of use of force regulations? A. Multiple choice test aligned with statutes. E. Practical demonstration of restraint techniques. C. Essay on general law enforcement history. D. Self-reflective journal entries. 7. In mentoring a struggling recruit, which feedback style is most effective? Immediate, specific, and constructive feedback tied to objectives. B. General positive comments with no corrective details. C. Delayed written evaluations weeks after performance. D. Public criticism during group training. 8. When designing a training program on security technology, which factor ensures adult learners remain engaged? A. Excluding hands-on practice to save time. E. Including real-world applications of the technology. C. Presenting only theory-based slides. D. Assigning passive reading tasks. 9. A protective service officer must evaluate emergency evacuation readiness. Which tool provides the most reliable assessment? A. Simulation-based performance evaluation. B. Paper-based self-assessment survey. C. Oral questioning without observation. D. Open book written exam. 10. Which regulatory compliance requirement must always be incorporated into curriculum development for security protocols? A. Local and federal safety standards. B. Informal advice from senior officers. C. Organizational traditions. D. Individual preferences of trainers. 11. An officer in training struggles with radio communication under stress. Which mentoring technique best addresses this? Assigning repetitive practice with supportive coaching. B. Providing theoretical readings on communication protocols. C. Criticizing performance without correction. D. Ignoring weaknesses to avoid discouragement. 12. When evaluating ethical decision-making skills, which assessment method is most appropriate? A. Case-based scenario testing. B. Multiple choice questions on unrelated topics. C. Memory recall of ethics codes only. D. Self-reported confidence surveys. 13. Which communication principle is most critical when officers provide instructions to the public during emergencies? A. Using jargon for precision. B. Delivering concise, clear, and calm directions. C. Speaking rapidly to cover more details. D. Avoiding eye contact to reduce tension. 14. A protective service officer is asked to mentor a new recruit. Which step ensures the mentoring relationship aligns with professional standards? A. Establishing measurable goals at the outset. B. Waiting until the recruit asks for help. C. Allowing informal discussions without objectives. D. Delegating mentoring to peers without oversight. 15. In adult learning, why is self-directed study important for officer training? A. It reduces accountability for trainers. B. It encourages active ownership of knowledge. C. It eliminates the need for evaluation. D. It removes the need for regulatory alignment. 16. Which evaluation method best tests an officer's ability to apply conflict resolution techniques? A. Simulated role-play scenarios. B. Multiple choice recall test. C. Written essay on communication history. D. Peer group discussion without observation. 17. During curriculum planning for protective service officer training, which step ensures long-term learning transfer? A. Embedding practice opportunities in realistic contexts. B. Using only traditional lectures. C. Ignoring learner feedback for efficiency. D. Prioritizing memorization over application. 18. When officers are trained on surveillance operations, which communication skill is most vital? A. Accurate, timely, and discreet reporting. B. Lengthy discussions on personal opinions. C. Using informal slang to simplify terms. D. Avoiding documentation to save time. 19. A supervisor wants to test knowledge retention after a legal update. Which method is most effective? A. Conducting a scenario-based quiz. B. Reviewing only past policies. C. Asking officers to memorize without context. D. Providing no follow-up assessment. 20. Which mentoring approach best supports an officer preparing for promotion exams? A. Coaching on test-taking strategies and application of knowledge. B. Providing only motivational talks. C. Offering last-minute cramming sessions. D. Ignoring weaknesses to reduce stress. 21. Which factor most influences the success of communication training in multicultural settings? A. Cultural sensitivity and adaptability. E. Use of technical jargon. C. Uniform enforcement without context. D. Avoidance of differences in communication. 22. When developing evaluation rubrics for officer drills, which principle ensures fairness? A. Using objective behavior-based criteria. B. Allowing subjective trainer impressions. C. Scoring based on personality traits. D. Ignoring alignment with learning goals. 23. In teaching adult learners crisis management, which method maximizes engagement? A. Immersive simulations with debriefing. B. Memorizing lists of emergency terms. C. Watching videos without practice. D. Reading case laws only. 24. Which aspect of regulatory compliance most directly impacts protective service officer training programs? A. Legal standards for use of force and safety procedures. B. Informal preferences of senior officers. C. Organizational gossip networks. D. Individual communication styles. 25. During mentoring, Which strategy most effectively builds officer confidence? A. Progressive responsibility with guided feedback. Avoiding challenging tasks. C. Criticizing without direction. D. Withholding feedback to promote independence. 26. A curriculum designer must ensure officers are prepared for real emergencies. Which design principle best accomplishes this? A. Incorporating scenario-based training. B. Focusing on theoretical instruction only. C. Relying on outdated case studies. D. Minimizing practice to save resources. 27. Which evaluation method is best for testing knowledge of emergency medical response? A. Hands-on simulation of medical scenarios. B. Written multiple-choice test only. C. Peer survey of confidence levels. D. Historical essay on first aid development. 28. In communication training, why is feedback during role-play essential? A. It corrects mistakes in real time and enhances learning. E. It embarrasses learners to increase discipline. It prolongs training unnecessarily. D. It reduces the need for self-assessment. 29. A protective service officer is developing new recruits' skills in surveillance reporting. Which adult learning principle ensures mastery? A. Practicing report writing with real-world case reviews. B. Memorizing generic reporting formats only. C. Observing without practicing. D. Reading theoretical concepts exclusively. 30. Which mentoring technique best promotes critical thinking among officers? A. Asking reflective questions after scenarios. E. Giving all answers directly. Avoiding challenges to prevent frustration. D. Repeating drills without analysis.